good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice for radio, so today I'm going to be showing you a very unusual deck that was on display at the North American International Championships. You see, ladies and gentlemen, some people, if you're stuck in a burning building, they will be there. And some people, if you're hungry and in need of food, they will be there. My role is... it's a lot less important. But when an underused card or an unforeseen deck goes and has some success at a big Pokemon tournament, I will be there. Ladies and gentlemen, Yveltal BREAK has actually just had a big showing at the North American International Championships, and that's weird, right? Because Yveltal BREAK did see a little bit of play. When Yveltal was really at its peak a little while ago, Yveltal BREAK became a big tech. But Yveltal BREAK was never really used as an attacker. Yveltal BREAK was generally there to give a little bit of extra HP to regular Yveltal, baby Yveltal if you will, hey Nick, and, you know, the attack was a nice little bonus. But it was there to screw up the maths. And that basically was what the card did. It was there to screw up the maths on a whole bunch of different attacks. All of a sudden, players are planning to hit 130. Now they need to hit 150. Gosh darn it, that's annoying. And as a side note, right, getting a one-hit KO on 150 HP non-GX Pokemon, not that easy. But players like Dustin Zimmerman, who is a very good player, have been rocking up to the North American International Championships this weekend. And they've been playing Yveltal BREAK. But what's amazing is they've been playing it as a legitimate attacker, as the main focus of a deck. So I suppose at this point we should probably remind ourselves what it actually does. It's got 150 HP, and it's got one attack. For free Darkness Energy, 120 damage, plus 30 to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon that already has damage counters on it. It's a spread deck. In a format where spread decks are not supposed to be particularly viable. And yet it works. Now, in terms of the non-break Yveltal, we have got the one, I mean, it's been in the format for like 10 years, but it's the one that's, I suppose, kept in the format now by generations with Oblivion Wing. 1 Darkness Energy, 30 damage, and you attach a Darkness from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. You do have Darkness Blade doing 100 damage, flip a coin if tails you can't attack next turn, but for the same attack cost you could be doing 120 and 30 to each of your opponent's bench that have any damage counters on them. So honestly, if you're using the second attack, then you're kind of failing here. It's really not what you want to be doing. So the first question then, I suppose, is how are we getting damage onto our opponent's bench Pokemon? And we've got two options, one of which is better than the other. First of all, we've got Tapu Koko, the promo Tapu Koko. This does 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon for a double colorless energy. Sounds like fun, right? The thing is, this often isn't enough. Now, don't get me wrong. If you just want to play the spreading game, this is fine. If you're trying to get as much damage on the field as you like and you're not going for specific KOs, this is great. Because 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon, then you bring out Yveltal BREAK, and it goes up to 50 damage after one turn, and 80 damage, etc., etc. But you start off with 50 damage, and as I've made the point in a number of videos, 50 damage isn't that great. We see evolving basics, and there are a bunch around at the moment. There's Inkay. There's the Rockruff with Corner. Some people are playing a 70 HP Rockruff, but a lot of good players like Michael Pramwatt are still playing the 60 HP Rockruff. There is Zorua, a whole bunch of evolving basics that have got 60 HP. So if you hit 20 with Tapu Koko, then 30 with Yveltal BREAK, you're only up to 50, that's not quite enough. So yes, Tapu Koko is good, it's got free retreat, it hits all your opponent's Pokemon, but generally the better option here is actually the Latios from Shining Legends, which you know I'm a big fan of, because it's got Latias in the image. I would rather it was a Latias card, but it's got Latias in the image. That, ladies and gentlemen, is good enough for me. And this does 30 to the active and 30 to one of the bench. Now you're only hitting 2 Pokemon rather than potentially 6, but that's okay, because 30 is a lot better than 20. So for instance, you do 30 to the active, 30 to one of the bench, then you bring in Yveltal BREAK, and all of a sudden, both those Pokemon that had 30 on now have 60 on. Your Inkays, your Rockruffs, maybe they've evolved, but if they haven't evolved, they are going down. But the other key point about Latios here is, you're hitting weakness. You're hitting weakness on an Inkay. Now, this is absolutely crucial, because firstly, Malamar decks are everywhere at the moment, but secondly, let's say you hit 30 damage to an Inkay. Well, that gets doubled with weakness to 60, Inkay gets KO'd. And then you do 30 damage to another Inkay. Now, Inkay's probably going to evolve. Most of the time, that evolution's gonna come, oh wait, Malamar's got 90 HP and a weakness to Psychic. So if Latios goes and does 30 to Inkay, even if that Inkay evolves, you then do 60 to Malamar with Latios, and that's getting KO'd. So even though Tapu Koko does damage to more Pokemon, and even though Tapu Koko's got free retreat, Latios is better. Latios is just a flat-out better Pokemon a lot of the time. Hits the numbers better, hits for a good weakness. You whack a Choice Band on Latios, and you're doing 120 damage to a Buzzwole GX, and 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. This sounds pretty gosh darn good to me. And that basically is the main outline of the deck. You use Tapu Koko or Latios to spread a bunch of damage around, and then you use Yveltal BREAK to smash. Now, annoyingly, you're not playing Psychic Energy, so Lagoon Flight doesn't come out, but you are playing Darkness Energy. And what you have here is a whole bunch of other Pokemon that are basics, so we're going to use Max Elixir, more on that in a minute, and many of whom can take advantage of Double Colorless Energy, which we play, more on that in a minute, and give you outs for most things that you might encounter. So, to take a quick rundown of the other Pokemon we're expecting to see, Mewtwo from Evolutions. Now, there's 2 important things that Mewtwo from Evolutions does. Firstly, it gets a one-hit KO on a free energy Buzzwole with a Choice Band. And secondly, it gets a one-hit KO on a 2-energy Necrozma GX with a Choice Band. And a lot of the time, Necrozma decks are going to have to try and stash energy on a bench Necrozma. This means that you can play a Guzma and punish them for doing it, or make it so that they aren't able to stash energy on a bench Necrozma. That's pretty sweet. And maybe they just use Malamar to get it going in one turn, and then you can't really do very much. Well, fine, but you still have an option against Necrozma. If they discard the energy, of course, Mewtwo doesn't do much. So Mewtwo gives you a nice little out against some popularly played Pokemon, and alright, they've got to have energy on, but it's still a nice little deterrent. We also see here Hoopa. And we've seen Hoopa a lot lately. Hoopa is its own deck. The problem with Hoopa is it doesn't do much damage. So Hoopa basically walls EXs and GXs. But it's got 120 HP. So we looked at Oranguru earlier. Well, the problem is that can just get a 2-hit KO while confusingly. The other Oranguru, the one from Sun and Moon, can get a 1-hit KO because you've got free energy on. And even against a deck which is only playing GXs that you should be able to wall, they might just be able to get energy on an Oranguru, and then that's it. Hoopa over. So wouldn't it be lovely if you had a bunch of options other than Hoopa? And that's what this deck does. You've got Yveltal, including the break. You've got Tapu Koko, you've got Hoopa, you've got Mewtwo. Oh look, and then you've got Hoopa. If you're against a Buzzwole deck, Hoopa's not going to do much at all because the Buzzwole from Forbidden Light with a strong energy and a Diancie Prism Star is going to take you down, and that's gonna suck. But if you're against a Zoroark deck, then a lot of the time, they're not going to have a good non-GX attacker, and you might be able to just wall them out of the game using Hoopa. And the thing is, you don't need to wall a Buzzwole deck. because you're hitting for weakness with stuff like Latios and Mewtwo. You've got better options. And that's what this deck is, a difficult deck with a whole bunch of weird different things in that gives you options. Hoopa to wall GXs, Latios, Tapu Koko and Yveltal to spread, Mewtwo to counter those psychic Pokemon. It's a fun deck. Has it quite got the raw power to get all the way to the top? Possibly not. And it's also a very difficult deck to play. The other Pokemon we see played here is the Oranguru from Sun and Moon for a little bit of draw power. And unfortunately, when we saw Dustin Zimmerman in Top Cut in round 14, he used this attack against a Necrozma, only to remember that Necrozma's ability gives it immunity to colourless Pokemon, and that basically lost him the game. It's an awkward deck to play, but when it works, ladies and gentlemen, oh, it's a thing of beauty. He won game 1 in like 2 minutes flat just by rolling through everything using stuff like Latios. Now, in terms of the energy here, we basically got double colourless energy because it works for Mewtwo and Tapu Koko and Latios, etc., etc. And then we see a bunch of darkness energy. Dustin played 10 according to the stream. And it's played with max elixir. Now, if you're only playing 10 basic energy, you should only be hitting 2 or 3 max elixir a game. It's not the most reliable, but it still gives you that extra option because you're playing all basic Pokemon. So you've got ways through here. Double colourless energy and max elixir gives you ways to get those Pokemon up and rolling that you maybe didn't have before. It's a complicated deck, it's a fun deck, maybe it's good enough to go all the way at the North American International Championships. I think it probably isn't, but the one thing I can tell you about this deck is that it was entirely unexpected, nobody saw it coming, and it's awesome. There we go. But as with all of these things, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to know what you think about this particular deck, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at Awasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do just that. And do make sure you check out my video game /Dragon Ball Super channel, Wasi Plays, for some more Wasi action. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.